Hello everyone and welcome back to Portside Soap Company. This is our video on how we're going to make our birthday cake duck bath bombs. So I started with my base recipe, of which I've got 4,000 grams in total. I'll leave a link down in the description box below about a simple bath bomb recipe for you all to try. So I'm going to start with these small plastic cups. I get my precision scales and I weigh out the easy colours that I use. I use easy colours, but you can use any other water-based colours, but I think easy colours works best for me. So with my recipe, for 1,000 grams of base recipe, I use 0.5 grams of easy colours. So in here, I'm going to do a double batch, so I'm weighing out 1 gram of colours. So in the first one I used blue 1, and this one I'm using hot pink. Hot pink is a beautiful colour. It can go neon, it can go a light pink, it can go a dark pink, even if you use the same amount. It just all depends on your fragrance oil. So that's one to give a test with. So I'm going to put the hot tap on and just fill these up with hot water. With chopsticks I stir them until the powder and all the granules have dissolved. Add it directly into my mix. I've not sieved any of my mix, it's all in the bowl as it is, so I just throw it in there and keep shaking as you can see. With blue 1 it's a bit more difficult because it's quite a plasticky consistency, so you have to really mix it in. You'll soon feel the blue 1 release. And then again mix that into my mix. I'm going to be using a stand mixer today, so it'll be a lot easier for mixing, and it's great for people with arthritis because you don't have to use your hands. I then measure out my liquid ingredients, of which I'll post them below as well and where I get them from. I use sweet almond oil, polysorbate 80 and fragrance oil. I only use poly for my fragrance oil and my almond oil. I don't have to use it, I just use it for my own peace of mind, and also for this one we're going to be using cocoa butter on top, so it's best to use it. Right, so I've got my stand mixers and I'm just going to press go on these, and you'll see how the colour will start to come out of them, and all I've added in it so far is the easy colours with about 3 to 5 mils of water. Gradually I'm going to add my liquid oils to this, bearing in mind there is no citric acid in this at the moment, so you've got no chance of activating anything. Gave them 3 spritz of water each. This is just distilled water which I've put into a spray bottle. Just check the consistency of your mix, make sure it's not wet. If it's too wet, then keep mixing and leave it. You don't want to add citric acid to a mix that is too wet. You're not blooming them, you're literally just adding colour to them. Now it's fully incorporated, I've weighed out my citric acid, which I grind. So in a blender I just put about 300-400 grams of citric acid at a time and shake the blender and turn it on. Then it's as powdery as possible. Mix that in until you get the same consistent colour, adding 1 or 2 sprays at a time. Make sure not to add too many sprays because you can get warts in your bath bomb if they're not mixed in properly. So here we are, I've got my Bath Bomb Express mould, I've got my So Posh press, of which they are compatible, and the Bath Bomb mould I actually got from Fizz Fairy, which is the UK distributor for the moulds. Just attach the mould to your press with the bolt attached. So now you can see what I've done here is I'm making a hole in the middle, and I'm just going to rotate the mould itself and leave my finger where it is to leave a divot. And as you can see, there's going to be a tiny bit of metal that's exposed. That's what you want to expose so that the mould closes completely. If not, you have all sort of problems with the mould jamming up inside. So I just press, pull up, and then rotate the mould and press again. I do this just so I get a nice clean ring around the outside. Dust off any bits that you may have and twist off, and you've got your perfect ring, bath bomb ring. If you find your mix gets wet at all, or if it gets dry, just keep fluffing it up. Fluff it up and test it. I'm just filling these up the same way you'd fill up any bath bomb. It's the same way. You can do thin lines, thick lines, you could just do one colour. One colour works really well with these rings because you're going to add things on top, so you don't want it to be too crazy, so you don't want to have 3 or 4 colours in it. 2 is kind of the maximum to make it look alright. Again, make sure you just twist it and make sure you expose that hole. So in here we've got 100 grams of cocoa butter. I'm just going to pop that in the microwave. You can still see there's chunks at the bottom of the cocoa butter, which is absolutely fine because the warm cocoa butter that's in there will melt that chunk eventually. You don't want to get it so hot that it takes ages for you to be able to pipe it. I'm just going to add some titanium dioxide to this to make it white. This is oil-based titanium dioxide, which I get from Soapwash. Just mix it until you're happy with the white. It doesn't have to go completely white because we are going to add bicarb in this as well. As you can see, I added some polysorbate 80. When using hard oils like cocoa butter, shea butter, or any oils really, you should add polysorbate 80 so it mixes into the water. So I just added about 4 or 5 grams of the polysorbate 80 in there, and then gradually just add your bicarb. Add your bicarb until you've got a consistency of which you like. I like to add quite a lot of bicarb. This way it's not runny, it's not a drizzle, it's not a drip, it's more of an icing piping that I'm putting on. Also, the more bicarb you add to it, the less cocoa butter you'll have in it, which means you won't get as much rings around the outside. So I use these really tiny piping bags, which I thought were a lot larger when I was ordering them, but they're coming really handy for this. I'll leave the link for those in the description. They're tiny piping bags, and I just fill a little bit of my mixture in there. I won't use all of this, and then I can heat it up again next time I want it. So I'm just going to tie off the end. It's still really hot, so just tie off the end and pop it in the fridge for about 2 to 3 minutes, and just keep checking it every minute really. So it's come out the fridge and the tip at the bottom will be hard, so you need to push that up inside the body of it and kind of massage it in so that you're making sure it's all the same temperature. Got a tiny snip in the bag, however thick you want it. I did these quite thin, so I think I might do them thicker next time. But with the white it looks quite good when they're thin. If you want to do a cocoa drip, you can just pick up your bath bomb and dunk it into the mixture you've made and then turn it upside down and the drips would appear. Now these are still wet, I'm using my Cake Decor glitter spray, which I've taken out the glitter inside because it was the food glitter, and I've put inside the airbrush glitter from Easy Colours. It's a great micro-fine glitter, it's a mica compound. It gives a nice airbrush sparkly effect to it. So we're going to start here with 30 grams of melted cocoa butter to make our cocoa butter frosting. And inside that, we're going to add our polysorbate 80 and we're going to add 3 to 4 grams of that. In next goes our sweet almond oil, and then we're going to add 10 grams of that. And also we're going to use cocoa betaine to add extra bubbles and also keep the mixture together. And you'll need to add 12 grams of that for this recipe. And I'm just going to take the cappuccino milk frother and mix up the oils inside there. And then you're going to grab yourself a bowl, in which this bowl is going to have your base recipe up to 200 grams. So you want to add 200 grams of powder, whether that be bicarb, just purely bicarb, or SLSA, kaolin clay, cream of tartar, salts, anything you normally add to your bath bomb recipe, add to this except for your citric acid. So you just want to add the powders that you normally add. Now I've got my dry ingredients, I'm just going to mix it all in with my hands and slowly add the cocoa butter mixture that also has your almond oil and your cocoa betaine in. This is going to become a paste, almost like a Play-Doh in your hand. Now what you want to do is you want to continuously mix it until you've got all of the oils and all of the powders. The oils will start to get hard because it's got cocoa butter inside, so you want to work as quickly as possible at this bit. And as you can see, it's a bit like a sugar paste. So you want to add a spray at a time and keep mixing until you get the perfect wallpaper paste consistency. I prefer to do this with my hands rather than using a whisk, because it gets a lot messier. You'll find the perfect consistency which works for you and how long it dries. If you think it's right, pop it in the piping bag, try to squeeze it out. If it doesn't, then just pop it back in the bowl and add some more water. The water will then eventually evaporate. So, just scrape your bowl and add it to your piping bag. I prefer using an open star tip for this rather than a closed star tip. That way you get more definition when you're adding it. If you wanted to add colour, you can go ahead and add that to your water, or you can add it to your powdered ingredients. If you're going to use something like a mica, I'd say add it to your oils because they're oil-based colours. That way you can get the most out of the colour. And I think we're ready to pipe. So if you want to put anything on top, you can put anything like little ducks, rubbers. I'm going to use these ducks and these rubbers. They all have the CE marking, which means that they're approved for the European market. And obviously check with your safety assessor. So all you do is, as if you're piping a cake, do a swirl and pop the thing on. And I think these look really cute. And this recipe for this bubble frosting is enough to pipe 8 of these rings. I did go a bit heavy-handed with 4 of them. As you can see by the end, I didn't have much left. Thank you ever so much for watching. This has been our first YouTube video and we hope you liked it. If you did like it, please like and subscribe. We're going to put a lot more of these videos out, including our whip soaps, sugar scrubs and more bath bombs. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye!